The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier. Introduction. Have you ever noticed that little voice in your head? The one that leaps into action the moment someone brings you a problem. A friend is struggling with a project, a teammate is stuck on an idea, a family member is worried about the future. And before they've even finished their sentence, that voice is already shouting, "I've got it. Here's what you should do." It's a well-meaning voice. It wants to help. It wants to fix things, to provide solutions, to be the hero who rides in with the answer. In his brilliant book, The Coaching Habit, Michael Bungay Stanier gives this voice a name. He calls it the advice monster. And he argues that this monster, despite its good intentions, is quietly sabotaging your effectiveness, burning you out, and disempowering the very people you're trying to help. We live in a world that rewards answers. From the time we're in school, we are praised for having our hands up first. We get promoted at work for being decisive and solving problems. So, our advice monster has been fed and strengthened for years. The problem is, when we lead with advice, we fall into a trap. We create teams and relationships that become overly dependent on us. We get overwhelmed, becoming a bottleneck for every decision. And worst of all, we get disconnected from the work that truly matters, because we're too busy fighting other people's fires. What if there was a better way? What if you could say less, ask more, and in doing so, change the way you lead and connect with others forever? That is the powerful promise of the coaching habit. This isn't some dense, academic textbook on management theory. It's a slim, practical, and profoundly simple guide to transforming your conversations. Michael Bungay Stanier, who has trained tens of thousands of busy managers at some of the world's biggest companies, distilled the essence of coaching into 7 essential questions. 7 questions that are so simple, you can start using them today, yet so powerful, they can unlock the potential in others, save you countless hours, and help you focus on the work that has real impact. Today, we're going to unpack those 7 questions. But more than that, we're going to uncover the mindset behind them. We're going to learn how to tame that advice monster, not by killing it, but by learning to stay curious just a little bit longer. By the end of our time together, you won't just have a list of questions, you'll have a new framework for building a habit that will make you a more effective, more inspiring, and dare I say, more impactful person in every area of your life. Book summary. So, where do we begin? The author makes a crucial point right at the start. This isn't about scheduling coaching sessions. Forget the formal, awkward meetings. The goal is to make coaching a daily, informal act. Something you can do in 10 minutes or less, whether it's in a planned one-on-one or just a casual chat in the hallway. But if we're going to change our behavior, if we're going to shift from a lifetime of giving advice to a new habit of asking questions, we need to understand how habits are actually formed. It's not about willpower. It's about having a formula. The book gives us a wonderfully simple tool called the New Habit Formula. It has 3 parts. When this happens, instead of, "I will." First, you identify the trigger. When this happens, this is the specific moment that kicks off your old behavior. For example, when a team member comes to my desk looking stressed. Second, you identify the old habit you want to stop. Instead of, this is where you name your advice monster's favorite move. Instead of immediately asking what's wrong, and jumping in with solutions. And third, you define your new, desired behavior. And this is key. It has to be a micro-habit, something that takes less than 60 seconds to do. I will. Take a breath and ask one of the 7 questions. This formula is the engine that will help us install the new habits we're about to learn. It's the practical tool that turns good intentions into real, lasting change. So, with that formula in our back pocket, let's explore the 7 questions that form the heart of the coaching habit. The first challenge in any conversation is just getting started. So often, We waste the first few minutes on small talk, or we jump to a default agenda that might not be what's most important right now. We need a way to cut through the noise and get to the heart of the matter quickly. This brings us to the first of the 7 questions, the Kickstart question. What's on your mind? It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's a beautifully crafted question. It's open, inviting the other person to share what's truly important to them, not what you think is important. It shows trust and grants them the autonomy to set the agenda. At the same time, it's focused. It's not "how are you?" which often gets a generic fine. It's an invitation to share what's exciting, what's causing anxiety, what's keeping them up at night. It says, let's talk about the thing that matters most. Once they answer, you can focus the conversation even further using a simple framework called the 3P model. Every challenge can typically be broken down into 3 areas: projects, people, and patterns. Projects refers to the what, the content of the work, the stuff on the to-do list. People refers to relationships, with team members, bosses, clients. And patterns refers to behaviors, ways of working that might be holding them, or you, back. So, after you ask, what's on your mind, and they tell you about a stressful deadline, you can offer, it sounds like there are a few things we could talk about. We could focus on the project itself, any people issues involved, or if you see a pattern of behavior here that you'd like to change. Where would be most useful for us to start? This simple combination of the Kickstart question and the 3P model ensures you start strong, focusing on what's real and what matters. Okay, so you've opened the door. They've shared what's on their mind. And now, your advice monster is straining at the leash. It heard the problem, and it has the solution. It's ready to pounce. This is the moment of truth. How do you hold it back? How do you stay curious just a little bit longer? You do it with what the author calls the best coaching question in the world. It's just 3 short words. The AWE question. And what else? This question is pure magic. It seems so innocent, but it accomplishes 3 critical things at once. First, it generates more options. The first answer someone gives is rarely their only answer, and it's almost never their best one. Our brains often default to the most obvious or safest idea first. By asking "and what else?" you encourage them to dig deeper, to uncover more possibilities. More options lead to better decisions, and better decisions lead to greater success. Second, it tames your advice monster. This is perhaps its most important function. Every time you ask "and what else?" you are actively choosing to stay in a state of curiosity. You're holding back your own brilliant ideas and giving the other person space to find their own. It's a self-management tool that keeps you from hijacking the conversation. And third, it buys you time. Let's be honest, sometimes you're not sure what's going on either. Asking "and what else?" gives you a moment to listen, to process, and to figure out where the conversation needs to go next. The author suggests you ask it at least 3 times. The first time, they'll give you the obvious answer. The second time, they might pause and think a bit more. The third time, that's often where the real insight is hiding. So, you've started the conversation with "what's on your mind?" and you've generated more options with "and what else?" But often, you're still just dealing with the symptoms of a problem, not the root cause. People talk about being overwhelmed by their inbox, but the real issue might be a fear of delegating. They talk about a difficult client, but the real issue might be their struggle with setting boundaries. If you jump in to solve the first problem they present, you're likely solving the wrong problem. This is where we need to slow down the rush to action and find out what's really going on. This brings us to the focus question. What's the real challenge here for you? This question is a laser. Let's break down why it's so powerful. What's the challenge? Is a decent start, but it's a bit vague. What's the real challenge? Is better. The word real implies that there are several challenges, and it forces them to prioritize and find the one that truly matters. But the magic is in the last two words, for you. That little phrase, for you, is what transforms this from a generic problem-solving question into a powerful coaching question. It brings the focus back from the external situation to the person in front of you. It makes it personal. It stops them from talking about what other people should be doing and forces them to wrestle with their own part in the situation. It shifts the conversation from performance, just fixing the fire, to development, helping the person grow stronger. When someone is complaining about a team member, asking what's the real challenge here for you, turns the conversation from gossip into a moment of self-reflection about how they can manage that relationship differently. This question cuts through the fog. It stops the endless proliferation of problems. It prevents you from coaching the ghost, the person who isn't in the room, and it grounds abstract complaints in personal responsibility. So now we're getting somewhere. We know the real challenge. But to truly help someone, we need to understand what they really want. Not what they think they should want, or what they think you want to hear, but what they truly want. This is often the hardest question of all for people to answer, both for them and for us. It requires vulnerability and clarity. It's the foundation question. What do you want? The author, Peter Block, frames an adult-to-adult relationship as one where you are able to ask for what you want, knowing the answer might be no. This question is the very heart of that mature, responsible dynamic. It's hard to answer because, often, we don't know what we want. Or we know, but we're afraid to ask for it. Or we ask, but in a way that's so indirect nobody understands us. This question cuts through all of that. It forces clarity. And when you ask it, you're tapping into some deep neuroscience. Our brains are constantly scanning our environment, 5 times a second, asking a fundamental question: is it safe here, or is it dangerous? The author introduces a simple model called the Terra quotient. Terra stands for tribe, expectation, rank, and autonomy. These are 4 key drivers that determine whether our brains perceive a situation as rewarding or threatening. Tribe: do I feel like you're on my side? Expectation: do I know what's going to happen next? Rank: do I feel my status is being respected? Autonomy: do I feel like I have a choice? When you ask, what do you want? You are dramatically increasing the Terra quotient. You're signaling that you're on their side, tribe. You're elevating their importance by asking for their input, rank. And most critically, you're giving them control and a sense of choice, autonomy. You are creating a brain-friendly environment where they feel safe enough to think clearly and creatively. So, you've asked what they want. They've told you. And now, the rescuer in you, that close cousin of the advice monster, is gearing up. It hears what they want, and it wants to jump in and do it for them. You think you're being helpful, but this is how you fall into what's known as the Cartman drama triangle. This is a powerful psychological model that says in dysfunctional interactions, we tend to play one of 3 roles: the victim, poor me, it's not my fault; the persecutor, it's all your fault; and the rescuer, let me help you. Most managers, and most helpful people in general, default to the rescuer role. We leap in to solve problems, take over tasks, and save the day. The problem is, rescuers create victims. By constantly saving people, we teach them that they are incapable of saving themselves. It creates a vicious cycle of dependency. So how do you break out of the drama triangle? How do you stop being the automatic rescuer? You ask the lazy question: how can I help? This question is deceptively brilliant. On the surface, it sounds supportive and helpful. But what it's really doing is putting the ball back in their court. First, it forces them to make a clear and direct request. They might not even know what they need until you ask. This question helps them figure it out. Second, and more importantly, it stops you from assuming you know what's best. It prevents you from wasting your time doing things they don't actually need or want. It's lazy in the best possible sense of the word. You stop working so hard, and you become more useful at the same time. A more direct version of this question is, what do you want from me? It can sound a bit blunt, but sometimes that level of clarity is exactly what's needed. It's important to remember that when they answer, you don't have to say yes. Your options are still yes, no, I can't do that, but I can do this, or let me think about that. The point of the question isn't to commit you to anything. It's to force clarity before you act. We're almost through our toolkit. We've learned how to start a conversation, go deeper, find focus, understand motivation, and empower others without taking over. But there's one more challenge that plagues all of us. We are drowning in work. We say yes to everything, hoping it will all magically fit. But a yes is meaningless without a corresponding no. This is where strategy comes in. And the author offers a beautiful, simple definition of strategy from Michael Porter. The essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. This leads us to the strategic question. If you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? This question is the antidote to overwhelm. It forces you and your team to confront the reality of trade-offs. When you commit to a new project, what old project are you now saying no to, or at least postponing? When you say yes to this meeting, what other work are you saying no to during that hour? But it goes even deeper. To make a yes truly happen, what do you need to stop doing? What habits do you need to break? What expectations do you need to manage with other people? What beliefs about yourself do you need to let go of? This question creates focus. It turns a vague, hopeful yes into a realistic, committed plan of action. It helps you and your team stop being busy and start being impactful. And that brings us to the final question. You've had a great conversation. Insights have been shared. A path forward has been clarified. The temptation is to wrap it up and rush off to the next thing. But if you do that, you miss the most important moment of all, the moment where learning actually happens. People don't learn when you tell them something. They don't even learn when they do something. They learn when they have a chance to reflect on what happened. To create that moment of reflection, you use the learning question, what was most useful for you? This question is the perfect way to end any conversation. Let's look at why it's so effective. First, it assumes the conversation was useful. It frames the interaction as valuable from the start. Second, it makes the learning personal. By asking what was useful for you, you're helping them generate their own insights, which makes the learning stick. An insight they create for themselves is 1,000 times more powerful than one you hand to them. Third, it gives you fantastic feedback. Their answer tells you what's working, so you know what to do more of next time. It reassures you that even though you weren't giving advice, you were being incredibly helpful. This question completes what the author calls the coaching bookends. You start fast and focused with what's on your mind, and you finish strong and memorable with what was most useful for you. If you did nothing else but master those 2 bookend questions, you would already be miles ahead. And there you have it. 7 simple, powerful questions. What's on your mind? And what else? What's the real challenge here for you? What do you want? How can I help? If you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? And what was most useful for you? The real secret sauce, the author concludes, isn't just memorizing these questions. It's about building a new habit. The habit of staying curious. The change that will serve you most powerfully is simply this: a little less advice, and a little more curiosity. Commentary. As we reflect on the coaching habit, what stands out is its profound commitment to simplicity. In a world saturated with complex leadership models and 5-day certification programs, Michael Bungay Stanier has done something truly remarkable. he has taken the intimidating art of coaching and made it accessible, practical, and most importantly, doable for busy people. The genius of this book is that it's not really about becoming a coach. It's about changing the default setting of our conversations. It recognizes that our deepest instinct is to be the problem solver, the hero with the answers. And it gently shows us that true leadership, true helpfulness, lies not in having the best answers, but in asking the best questions. Why does this matter so much, especially today? Because we live in an era of unprecedented change and complexity. The old top-down model of leadership, where the manager knows everything and directs all the action, is broken. No single person can have all the answers anymore. The most valuable skill a leader, a parent, or a friend can have is the ability to unlock the intelligence, creativity, and potential of the people around them. These 7 questions are the keys to doing just that. Each question is a tool designed to shift the dynamic of a conversation. It moves the focus from you to them. It moves the ownership from you to them. It moves the responsibility for generating solutions from you to them. And in doing so, it builds the very things that create engaged, motivated, and successful people: autonomy, mastery, and a sense of purpose. So, how can you start putting this into practice right now? Here are 3 simple actions you can take today. First, just pick one question and one person. Don't try to master all 7 at once. Perhaps start with the "Et do we" question, and what else? The next time a friend or colleague comes to you with a problem, and you feel that advice monster stirring, just bite your tongue and ask, "That's a great start. And what else could you do?" See what happens. Second, just notice your advice monster. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to how quickly you jump to giving advice. What are the triggers? Who are the people that most often bring it out in you? You don't have to change anything at first. Just the act of observing it will begin to loosen its grip on you. Third, build your very first new habit formula. Take 60 seconds right now and write it down. When my brother complains about his job, instead of telling him what he should do, I will ask him, "What's the real challenge here for you?" Put it somewhere you can see it. This small act of writing it down makes your intention real. The ultimate lesson of the coaching habit is that curiosity is a generous and powerful act. When you ask a genuine question, you are sending a powerful message. You are saying, "I trust you. I believe in you. You have the answers within you." It's a message that builds confidence, sparks insight, and empowers people to take control of their own path. It is, perhaps, one of the greatest gifts you can give another person. That was a summary of The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier. We've certainly hit the highlights today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real magic happens when you walk the territory yourself. It's in the quiet moments, when a particular story or a simple phrase in the book connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has sparked a little curiosity in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a new skill, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you interact with everyone in your life. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.